bit of a smaller group here, but this is a time just to have discussion, bounce ideas off of each other, and um, share what you're doing, what's working, what's not, and kind of just open to what you'd like to talk about.
Since there are just two of them, we could just take turns. You could each describe what you're planning and what your challenges are.
Okay. I guess I can go first. Preschool, unlike the children's program, I work with all three ages. So I have pre-K, children's, and transition age that I'll be working with over the summer. My pre-K programs, I kind of have mixed attendance via Zoom. My biggest challenge is some of my kids, especially those with multiple impairments, they have a hard time attending to virtual. And there's also the challenge of, it seems to be the parents who are more involved in visits with our blind babies groups are more likely to participate in the Zoom sessions, whereas parents who maybe had me working with their kids and were not as engaged in the visits personally, they're the ones who don't seem to be attending so often. So that's my biggest challenge, I guess. In terms, I'm sort of customizing my goals. I follow the Oregon mostly with my babies, and then we've done some like little life skill trays that the kids can be working on at home. And then we get connected on Zoom and we show the parents how they can support their kids in doing some of these activities. That's how our program is designed. So it's a lot of the parent coaching. And
you're oh wow, sorry. The audio is really bad.
Ooh. No, that's understandable. That yeah, I certainly I know it's difficult, especially with younger kids, right? A lot of the coaching is with the parents of trying to get them to assist them with the projects or the little training sessions you've made, and some of them are fairly inexperienced. Obviously some of them are more in depth. They've been doing this maybe with with other children, but it's the first time they've been a teacher of something like this for disability before.
Right. The other challenge that I also, I've tried to do some group activities because, especially with the isolation at home, and families will often say, oh yeah, we're interested, but then when you go to get on, low attendance sort of with those types of events. So I was trying to get an idea of maybe what some of the other agencies are doing in regard to group activities where you can have the preschool age kids come together and the parents kind of make it a parent support as well.
Yeah.
I do work with the preschoolers, and I also work with early intervention. And actually, we are really just starting some telehealth and teletherapy sessions beginning next week. In the beginning, especially our parents and families of children with a visual impairment were very reluctant of even participating. And now that our pause has gone on for so long and is looking to still be extended through summer, they're more willing to try and get on board. And that's why there's been kind of a lag in being able to do that. So we're just scheduling, and I've gotten feedback from other therapists, and pretty much what you were saying with the engagement of the child has been difficult. Most of the time it's just the parent, so a lot of parent coaching, family training is what they're finding. And then as far as like group activities, the teachers have been scheduling like weekly circle times And for example, a class of 12 students, maybe you get 2 or 3 that attend. So again, that low numbers as far as group participation. So, and that could be for many reasons. You know, the parent could be working from home. You know, not everybody's not working. So we do have a variety of reasons why parents haven't been able to participate in some of the teletherapy. And, you know, that's the feedback we've gotten from them. We sent out a survey just trying to figure out where families are and what they were looking for. And we've had families that have not even responded during this whole 10 or 11 weeks to anything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They don't respond, but to me, I'm saying they are responding. They're telling us we're doing okay, but we're not interested in
Yeah.
activities at home. So, you know, it'll be interesting just to see how it goes for some of the vision kiddos. But you know, a good portion of my caseload is early intervention, and that's really following a parent coaching model anyway. So if anything, I think families are going to be a little bit more engaged than they are when we're actually in their homes. So that should be interesting to see.
Sure.
So
oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was saying mine is mostly early intervention because they age into the children's program usually right around pre-K or kindergarten.
okay.
So I've been doing one-on-one Zoom. I with our program, we never stopped. So within a week of closing our office, I was on Zoom with any families that were willing to participate. And so with the early intervention kids, I've been working still on those identified goals. Some families, and it reminds me of, there are families that they're overwhelmed, and I get it. I'm a sibling of a multiply impaired blind child. So, you know, you have therapies, and all of these therapists went to, a lot of them, physical and occupational therapy, they went to telehealth. Which was putting a lot more on these parents, and sometimes it's just become the parents sort of venting, and so it becomes a counseling in a way, you know, where you're just listening and they're just talking about how overwhelmed they are, and they just need that assurance of it's okay to not get everything done on your to-do list. This is uncharted for us all. Some of my families that, like you said, Mary, that they just declined, and what I've been doing is I'm still kind of making learning kits, and I've dropped them off contact lists to their front doors with instructions, and if they want me to coach them over the phone, I will. So they won't get on Zoom, but at least the kids are still able to have something to keep them busy, and it's educational. And then some, like I said, some of them have just completely said no way. I'm also encountering a lot of the physical and occupational therapies here in Florida. I think financially, a lot of them they've resumed in person, even though some of my students are extremely high risk. We're talking kids on ventilators and stuff. So I've had some parents say, well, therapy is coming, why aren't you? And without PPE, that's, you know, I can see therapy, because with physical therapy, that needing to be there to keep up muscle strength and whatnot, what we can do, a lot of times we can still do it. We're still able to make an impact remotely with the kids. So I've gone back and forth with some parents on that. A lot of parents are still very leery of having in person. So, and plus us as an agency, we don't have the supplies yet to even consider it. So
we're not there either. I'm in New York, so.
Oh yeah.
And so in lieu of when families were so reluctant about telehealth or teletherapy in the beginning, So what they basically, what we've agreed on is weekly, I send things through email. So there's kind of like a distance learning plan that they receive on a weekly basis. And, you know, whether the activities are being done or not, it's, you know, kind of, I think, hit or miss. I think, you know, like you said, families are overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed with siblings that are school age, that have requirements to meet, that are going to be graded, you know, and they're, and then you have the sharing the computer and computer time. And so it's been challenging. It's been challenging for a lot of families. You know, so I'm just hoping through the summer, because we have, you know, just about all our children have been approved for summer school. Okay. So because of the long break. So I'm hoping that families continue to want to participate. But we'll see. Like I said, we're just, what happened too is families were opting more for the PT and OT, like, oh no, we're not, you know what, we're just going to kind of prioritize, because some of the kids do receive so many therapies that they were prioritizing and saying, you know, I don't really have, this is where my concerns are. My concerns are more with PT and OT because of muscle strengthening and stretching, and, you know, they felt that they could be, you know, instructed on the other side of that. So that was another reason why I think vision kind of got pushed down to the bottom of the totem pole there. But I've been able to reach back out to those families, and now they are willing to try. It could have been too that it was just the new concept of getting therapy over a screen. Maybe they're a little bit more comfortable with it now.
I see that. I see that too. We had a lot of families who said, you know, speech is priority. So they would work with speech. And some started off really strong. They were doing everything all at once. And then finally they said, okay, I've got to start chopping down and doing less frequent vision and less frequent PT. And the same thing with email. I've been emailing things, ideas of things to do, lessons that they could be doing. And I try to make them as simple as possible. I've even gone so far as if there's supplies that they need, I have it in my budget. So I've been buying what they need.
Oh, that's nice. I don't have a budget.
But even then, if it's something like, we had an activity where we made tactile art from things that they found around the home. So for instance, dried pasta, something that parents could possibly have in their cabinet. And we made kind of an arts and crafts session together that way. I actually took that from my daughter's school. So I'm getting a lot of ideas from the school system and what the art teachers are doing. And
here's what you can, yeah.
So, and things like that, you know, but at the same time, in all my emails, I remind the parents and say, here's a list. Pick one thing. You do not have to do them all. And I think it was important to remind them of that, because I remember how I felt, you know, especially being a teacher and having children of my own at home. So I'm trying to balance both. And everybody's just sending me email after email after email, and your heart just, you know, you get heart palpitations and you get nervous. And so I told them, I said, pick one thing. That's all. If you don't pick anything, then that's fine, but pick one thing. Don't feel like you have to do every single thing on this list. Because I find that the parents will shut down at that point. And so it was important to do that. I definitely want to try the weekly circle times. I do have a lot of parents who are interested in story time. I know I loaned out just about every book I could. I went into my office when I was able to, and I grabbed every Braille book and print book I could. And I just literally started handing out all of my supplies, which will be interesting when I get back to resuming normal. So, but we would do story time over Zoom with some of the kids. It's just, at this point, I believe that even if I'm leaving them something to work on, they have something.
Right.
I know from an hours perspective, we're committed to hours on our contracts, and that's of course a challenge. But with documentation, that's all I can really do. is offer.
I only have to worry about 30 minutes, so I feel fortunate. You know what, I did the same thing with Braille books. I went and got Braille books, and I've kind of been spacing the mailings so that they maybe get a book every couple weeks, so that they have time to explore the one book that they've received, and, you know, asking families to, you know, please repeat, and reread, and let them really get to know the book. But when you say you dropped off other things, what type of things did you leave for the family other than like arts and, you know?
For instance, you know, we had, I happen to have a stock of wiki sticks. So we were using some wiki sticks, and they were creating some raised art for me. And what I had the parents do was take a picture of it and text it to me.
Mm-hmm.
Even the families that would not get on Zoom, or just period, or the kids wouldn't stay on for a full session, it at least had the kids working on something tactile, something sensory. I did have a couple tactile drawing boards that I was able to loan, and I've kind of gone with the reality of, I'm loaning these to you, but if I never get them back, I never get them back. There were some things out of my stock. For kids who were working on Braille, I tried to create some little Braille sheets for the families. I really reached out to each one because, again, all of my kids, I only work with about 11 kids on my whole caseload. And we're a very small county. So I reached
30, so that's why I'm like,
and it was very time consuming, but I reached out to every family and said, listen, if we could pick one thing that your child would be working on, what would it be? And one of those first conversations I had with them was, what do they prioritize as a goal? Because that, if anything, I think motivated them to participate. Because if some of these kids have more than one goal. So if we get the parent to identify what is going to motivate them, then I did have more success with some of my families.
okay.
For instance, I had one mom who really wanted her child to work on being able to spoon feed. So we did coaching over Zoom with mealtime.
Okay.
And that encourage the mom to get on. I had another parent who really wanted their child to work on pre-Braille skills.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to get to Dollar Tree as my go-to store. And I was able to get like the little tongs, and we had the kids doing some sorting with the tongs to work on building up their hand strength.
Mm-hmm.
We had muffin tins. I went to the Dollar Tree and I got them, if they didn't have them, I got them muffin tins and some balls that they could put in there, or gave the parents ideas of candies, because, you know, candy is motivating. So,
Right.
and we were working on, one family had a goal where the parent was learning Braille. So we talked a lot about Hadley, and the parent is actually taking a Hadley course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great idea to, you know, and I know we get so goal focused, but I mean, during this time, it's like, it's become more general and not so necessarily like only this goal. It's like, we're almost working on life goals right now, and survival, and just, you know, you have felt it being a parent and having other children in school. I mean, my kids are older, so I don't have any young kids that I have to school during this time, but I was getting stressed out at the amount of emails that I was getting from every teacher of all these kids on my caseload, and just trying to sort through that. So as a parent receiving all those, That was a big point that was hit home and the surveys, the parent surveys that they took were, please stop all the emails.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we found a way to condense that. They only get one email from one teacher, and on that child's plan is OT, PT, vision, speech, and it's all condensed rather than every therapist sending a page or two of emails of whatever, to get them through. But so every week is a different week. We're tweaking and learning and trying to consolidate, but I don't know. It's, it's still changing, and we're until week 12. So trying to just make it more efficient, more concise. We want to try to keep the families hanging on, so that they don't just say, well, you know what, we're really done. We really need to take a break from all this.
I think that was my biggest concern with the families who really did distance themselves and was like, nope, we're not doing anything. I've just really made it a point to at least check in with them weekly. Even if it's, I'm allowed to text families, but
we are too. So I pretty much definitely do a week to 10 day check-in with all my families. And they respond to the text, and it's, even if it's, well, we're fine, we're doing okay, we're managing, we don't need anything, at least it's something, and we know where they are, especially for those whose families, who the parents are in the health profession.
Right. Yeah. And, even if, I feel that as long as they're getting something from us, they don't forget about us. So, and I try to update them as I know what our plans are going forward. I've tried to keep them in the loop so they're not just thinking, oh, they forgot about me. The other thing that I've been doing, I created, instead of sending a whole bunch of emails, I created a drive folder, a Google Drive folder, with just some families, like, they're able to print from home. So I've included some little printouts on there. I've also included the links. I got those off of a TBI Facebook page. Somebody uploaded some links for virtual field trips and little learning sites. The Objective Ed was free currently during the COVID. And so for kids who did have iPads, you can apply for a teacher's account if you don't have it already. And we were able to, for instance, kids that wanted to work on cardinal directions, you could have them, it's a game platform. So to the kids, it's a game. It's like a video game. But Objective Ed will actually give you a progress report for each time that the student plays.
Oh, wow.
So
and
if you
level would you say that would be?
Which one?
What age level?
You could probably go down to 4, maybe even younger on some of them. For instance, there's a barnyard game where there's farm animals and they're in a pen in the center, and it is completely accessible via voiceover, and it will say to drag the pig right, drag the pig left, up, down. So they're working on that would be a beginner skill. You have to go in once you're approved and you have to customize and create a user ID for all of your students. And you will have to create individual goals. And Objective Ed, if you are approved for Objective Ed, you can actually do a session with their staff and they will teach you how to create those goals. And you would just send the link and the user ID and password to each student, and the families can get on. It will tell you when they got on, how long they were on, and what their efficiency was with so for beginner, it's left, right, up, down, and then you can, level 2 would be north, south, east, west. So, so you could even, once they master that skill, go higher. I believe there's also a Braille game on there. And then there is also a game for O&M.
Oh, wow. And it's objective ed, you said?
Objective ed, one word. So it's ed, I believe. I searched it by objective space ed, and I had to condense it into one. There is an app for the iPad. It only works on iPad.
Okay.
That was the one challenge. But I had iPads I could loan, and I have a couple iPads out to kids right now. So that was my advantage of that.
That's a big problem that we've had, is the lack of technology in the homes, and we don't have equipment to lend. So it's, you know, we're a non-for-profit agency, so we're contracted for a lot of our services. So we don't have, you know, we don't have a budget. We don't have a storage room like you might find in a school district or something where they can.
Right.
Yeah, so that's a problem. But
speaking of technologies and along that lines, do you all have some kind of digital forum or community that kind of connects you as the teachers with the parents? Some kind of Facebook group or class dojo, anything like that?
I used to have a Facebook group, but they never participated. So we do have a Facebook page, and most of our families follow our Facebook page.
Okay.
The agency itself has a Facebook page.
Right.
yeah, the large agency that we contract with, they do have a Facebook page as well.
But other than that, communication's more on a one-on-one basis, emails, text messages, phone calls. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Right, and we have a lot of HIPAA restrictions too.
Right.
To kind of open up that on our own. So I'm actually just being reminded I have another webinar that I'm signing on to in now. So I have to leave. Okay. But I really enjoyed the conversation with you, and good luck in Florida.
Well,
it's I know it's a little different. My son lives in Florida, so I do keep some, you know, a little bit of what's going on there is a little bit different than here at times, but you stay well.
you as well, and good luck.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. And if you guys deal with school age or transition age as well, we're having a call tomorrow and Friday as well, similar to this.
I will be on both.
Oh, great.
I will be on definitely tomorrow as well. So
fantastic.
Yeah,
thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Take care.
All right.
Yeah.
Take care.
Bye-bye.